Okay, let's talk about how to find sellers, okay? And what you're looking for is motivated sellers only, right? Because if they're not motivated, you can't get a good deal. You need to say what? Next, right? If they're not motivated enough. So here's some situations that sellers might be in order to want them to do a lease option with you. They either don't need their cash out or they have no cash to get out. Okay, they have no equity in the property. That would be one of the, one of those two things have to exist in order for them to be able to do an option with you. Right? If they have to have their equity out, they are not a good candidate. You have to say next, unless you have a different alternative for them. But they can't do an option. All right? The main reason is what we call good debt relief. Okay, good debt relief. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like usually, not always, but here's an example. They might have 2 homes. Okay? Because when they have 2 homes, then I know they don't have to sell one to buy the other. Everyone with me?
Yes.
Kind of logical, right? And when they don't have to sell one to buy the other, then I know there's a possibility of an option. That doesn't mean they want to, but there's a possibility, and that's a really key part of it. Okay? New marriage. Each person has their own home. They get married. They move into one of the 2 homes. Now they have 2 homes and 2 house payments. How about this one? They built their new home and their old home hasn't sold yet. Now they have 2 homes, 2 house payments. Anyone ever heard of someone like that?
Yes.
Okay. How about they purchased their new home and their old home hasn't sold yet? Now they have 2 homes, 2 house payments. How about the job transferee? They buy a house in the new location. They still have one in the old one that hasn't sold yet. Now they have 2 homes, 2 house payments. Notice anything in common with these first 4? Right? They have 2 homes. Okay? 2 homes, but they didn't need to sell the first one to get the second one. They already got it. And when I know they already got the second one, what do I now know about the first one? Anyone know with mortgage guidelines right now? What does that mean? What? They have equity. Why? Because right now you can't get a new mortgage on a second home or the new primary residence without equity in the first one. Why is that?
Because they don't want you to walk away from your...
No more strategic defaults, right? Oh, let's pull all of our equity out of the first one like people did a while back. Buy the new one and say goodbye to the old one, which was what happened in the mortgage industry, right? And that's why now the mortgage guidelines are much stricter and they want that seller to have some equity in that property. So what that tells us, usually it's about, about 30%. Depends on the lender, but somewhere around 30%. So what does that tell us now? Bingo. Now we know the seller has some equity if they've got 2 homes. Everyone with me on that?
Yes.
So it gives you some indication. Ding, 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 ding. That's a good one. And those are the kind of things I'm looking for. That's why if you could tell when you pull the listings off the multiple listing service, if you can tell if they're vacant, then I know they've moved, right? They don't live there. Now, our MLS where I live here does not tell me if they're vacant or not. Sometimes the pictures will indicate it, and that's my only hint. But there are some areas in the country where your multiple listing service will actually tell you if it's vacant or not. Does anyone have one of those? So you know what I'm talking about, right? It tells you if it's vacant. Okay? Bingo, that's a good one, especially when you're talking about the realtor stuff, okay? Here's some other situations. Maybe they want good cash flow. Who would want good cash flow? Well, maybe they're a burned out landlord. Any landlords in here? Wow. Anyone burned out that's a landlord? It's amazing the same hands stay up. No. Why? Okay, so why would a landlord be burned out? Why would they maybe consider doing something like a lease option? I mean, there's 2 reasons to me that they become burned out.
They don't have to manage it. They're tired of being in court.
They're tired of being in court, so they've really been burned. Something bad's happened, and they're just tired of it. Or they want to retire and they want to move on. They're done. So that could be one reason, too. Maybe they want to move from Michigan to Florida in the winter, and they just can't manage them anymore. But now, here's the key. They don't need the money. Is everyone with me? Usually, unless there's a specific issue.